Today I'm going to be showing you how to get the most out of your 4 essential face brushes. So we're starting with the 103 Soft Focus Powder Brush. I'm going to be using it to start with a liquid foundation. So I like to just put the coverage where I need it. And then take the big fluffy brush and just let the bristles do the work for you. The great thing about using a brush like this for foundation is that you get a really nice even coverage, but it's super quick. Whereas with a smaller brush, it would take you a little bit longer. The trick with this brush is to let it do the work for you. So if you hold it at the end of the brush rather than super close, it will give you a much lighter application of whatever it is that you're using. So whether that's your setting powder or your foundation, hold it right at the end and that will give you a really natural look. The 102 brush is your best friend for creating dimension on your skin. It's got a really lovely tapered shape, which makes it really easy to place product very precisely on the skin, and then also to have a light touch to blend it out. So I'm going to use my favourite contour powder just to create a little bit of shape to my face. So as you can see, I'm just stroking the product onto the areas where I want the most intensity of colour. And then I'm using almost like a soft circular motion just to buff it right into the skin. We want this to look as natural as possible and really seamless. So the lighter your touch with this brush, the more precise the application is going to be. If you press very lightly, you're going to get the very tip of the brush, whereas if you press more firmly, the bristles will splay a little and that'll give you a wider surface area to give a big blend. So if you're creating something like a contour, just press very lightly on the skin. The 203 brush is a real multitasker. Because of its synthetic bristles and its shape, it's really great for anything around the eye area. So cream eyeshadow, powder eyeshadow, concealer, it does it all. So I'm going to start off by using a little bit of a cream eyeshadow, and this is just in a slightly lighter colour than my skin tone, just to give a nice even look to the face. So you can apply the product in a kind of downward motion, and that will give you more control over the actual placement. And then you can just brush off any excess and use the flatter side of the brush just to blend. If you're using a deeper colour than this, you might want to stop just at the crease of the eye. Because this matches my skin tone, I'm taking it all the way up to the brow. I like to use this brush anywhere where you would otherwise be tempted to use your fingertips. So around the eye area, this is the perfect shape. It's shaped almost like a finger. So you can press it in, but with the brush, you're going to get a longer wear time. So if you're anything like me, concealer is a must. Again, you can use this straight from the wand if you want to, but for longer wear, go in with your brush. So I like to pop it just on the back of my hand and take it on the 203, just a small amount. And again, just like you would use your finger, you're almost patting that where you need it. And again, you don't want to blend with too much product on the brush. So as soon as you have the right amount of product on the skin, wipe it off on a tissue or on the back of your hand, and then you'll have a nice clean brush to blend with. When you're using this brush with powder eyeshadow, use the flat side to create depth of colour and then switch it this way to blend out. So pick up your eyeshadow, tap off the excess, and then you're literally just laying it flat onto the lid, the same way that you did with the base eyeshadow. Brush off any excess, and then switch your grip of the brush and blend upwards. I always like to set underneath my eyes whenever I've used a cream or liquid concealer. This is the 208, but it's the perfect brush for setting underneath the eyes. So I'm just going to use a little bit of a really fine, loose powder and just brush that anywhere that I've used concealer. I find this gives it much better lasting power. So next we're going to be using the 104 angled brush. This is great for a lot of things, but I'm going to be using it today for blush. And And I'm just going to use the angle of the brush pointing downwards just to create quite a wide blown out flush. Be brave with this colour. You can take it over the whole cheek, even onto the kind of forehead area. Sometimes it's really pretty to take it a little across the nose. And then we're going to move on to a slightly brighter colour. What you're going to do is change the way that you use your brush. So we're going to use the pointed angle of this brush just to create a small area that's much brighter, and that gives a really lovely dimensional, bright look to the face. By flipping the brush round, you get a little bit more control over where you place the blush, but it might just mean that what you want to do is, once you've applied the brighter one, flip it back the other way and just make sure it's really well blended into the skin. A little tip with blusher placement too. I'm putting mine on the apples of my cheeks. If you do this, it does sometimes make the face look slightly rounder, so if you want to make the face look more chiseled, you might want to place it a little bit higher on the cheekbones. So I'm going to be using my powder highlighter with the same angled brush, and I'm just going to use the small angle of it again, and that will just give me the precision to place the highlighter exactly where I want it. And again, as soon as you want to blend, just flip the brush the other way around and buff it into the rest of the skin.